What's up, guys? I'm Kenna with Kenna's Kitchen, and today we are making my favorite Italian dish, stuffed shells, and we are not gonna be using jumbo shells. I found it is much easier, less work, and the same results to use manicotti shells, so that is what we're going to be doing. This has 3 types of cheeses, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of basil, and some parsley. Super easy, so let's jump right into it. My favorite weeknight meal for sure right now. I have been craving it during this pregnancy, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Let's go. All right, first things first, let's get our water boiling. And that'll be for our shells. We're gonna boil those just a little less than al dente. And if you didn't know what al dente means, it means all done. I don't know if that's a little less than all done. Well, they'll finish off in the oven because we are gonna be making these shells, putting them in a dish, then putting them in a preheated oven of 375 degrees. I'll get into that, but we're gonna start the water. You wanna salt the water when you're cooking your pasta. Definitely salt your water, even if your husband tells you not to. To make the stuffing, that's pretty much the hardest thing in this entire dish. You're gonna grab a bowl, and this stuffing amount does me well for an entire box of shells. Normally there are a couple that are broken, so I make the entire box. I don't use shells as well because I feel like I have way too many shells left over. It's just kind of a waste. So you're gonna take 15 ounces of ricotta cheese here. Dump it in like so.
That came out surprisingly clean.
Oh yeah, it always comes out like that. And if you have a Hispanic mother, you're gonna wash this and put it in your cabinet to reuse later. But I don't follow those rules.
That's for you, Lydia.
That's for my mother. So many country crock tubs. I'm like, is this butter or is this leftovers?
Could be cereal.
It could be anything. I've got here 8 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese. I'm gonna be using a majority of it. I like to measure with my heart here, but for the purpose of this recipe, it's 8 ounces or 2 cups.
Measure with your heart.
For cheese, measure with your heart. So you're gonna add that in. You're gonna save just a little bit, and normally about 1/3 of a cup you're gonna save to top off the shells before they go in the oven. And like I said, I measure with my heart, so I normally end up using more than that, and I probably will today. So save a little bit, but you're gonna do about 1.5 cups to 1 3/4 cups here. You can take a knife here, and to be honest, I don't normally have basil, but since I do, I'm throwing some basil in there. But I normally do some parsley. There are 1,000 recipes for stuffed shells. Some of, if not most of them, recommend spinach. I honestly hate the texture of spinach in my pasta. It's ugh. So anyway, I don't like spinach. These are pretty much just some cheese and herbs. So we're gonna dice this up. So this is probably 2-3 tablespoons of parsley, and I use Italian parsley. All right, so add that in there. Okay, we're gonna add some basil, and I'm gonna kind of pick off all these leaves. And if you've seen my marinara recipe, somewhere up here, you know how to cut your basil, chiffonade it. You're gonna just kind of stack them all up, all in the same direction. And then you're gonna roll it into a nice little basil blunt before cutting.
Do you lick it?
I've never done that before in my life. Okay, so now you've got nice little ribbons of basil, and you just put them in. So I have played around with the amount of garlic. If you really, really like garlic and you really like that strong garlic flavor, go heavy on the garlic. If you don't, definitely go light because the garlic does come through in the shells. Well, and you gotta think, you're putting it in raw and then it's going in the oven to basically cook in there, but it's not cooking down. It's still got a very strong garlic flavor. Again, measure with your heart. But I'm gonna do 3 garlic cloves here, and I'm just gonna mince them. Smash them with your blade first. That'll help remove the edge, and then it just comes right out. I like to remove the tips of the garlic. Smash those down a little bit more once you've got them out of your clove. Then you're going to cut them up. All right, so this is about as much. This almost looks like a little bit too much for me, so I'm gonna kind of remove that, and I'm gonna use it, so don't come at me. I'm gonna use about this much. I'd say that's about 2 tablespoons of garlic. Go in right in. And then 1 egg. And lastly, some salt and pepper. Measure with your heart. Just a little bit of pepper. If you like a lot of pepper, do it. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the marinara. Now you can take a glass of, you can take a jar. You can take a jar. You can take a jar of marinara, but I like to spice it up a little bit. Travis really likes onions in his marinara. Okay. So with that, I'm going to dice up some onions. I'm gonna mince up the rest of this garlic and just kind of spice up my jarred marinara a little bit more. These never dull knives are sharp. If you wanna see how sharp these knives are, I've got an affiliate link below. Check that out, these knives are great. How's my water doing? I probably should have put a lid on there. But I will dice my onion now. And depending on how much onion you like, you can use a half an onion, you can use a whole onion. I've got a relatively small onion here, so I'm gonna use the entire thing. Remove that outer layer. I just don't like the texture. And I'm gonna do smaller dices. I personally don't like super chunky onions in my marinara. All right, so that's pretty diced. Let's look, that's not, oh my God. My wet paper towel. I told you guys, I know, I told you guys a trick and then I literally never do it. Oh my God. I need my scuba gear. Oh, speaking of, update, Team C's was able to remove 30 million pounds of trash from the ocean.
And you guys are 200 pounds of that.
Uh-huh, so thank you. All right, so my water is boiling, so let's go ahead and get these in. Man, I got it. And hopefully they're not broken. Travis literally got them for me out of the pantry and was like,
I'm sorry. I don't know my own strength.
Clearly. First of all, I love doing this. I'm Edward Manicotti. All right, so I don't burn myself. Let's quit playing around. Just gonna drop them in there. Alexa, set a timer for 7 minutes. All right, back to the onion. I got a little cry break out of the way. That's a proper Dyson. And I'm not talking vacuums, you know what I'm saying? Okay, now we marinara. Okay, you're gonna take a semi-nice olive oil and then turn your saute pan to like a medium. We're gonna saute the onions until they're translucent. So you're gonna really do a good bit here, enough to coat the bottom. I'm gonna let that heat up for a second, let that pan get warm. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the marinara. We're gonna move these onions in. And honestly, I might not use all of them. It's more than I thought, so I'll go right there. All right. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff there. This has got 2 minutes left, so we're gonna go ahead and try and mix this up in the next 2 minutes, just to multitask. And I like to do that by cutting up the ricotta first and then folding everything in. If you see a clump of egg or a clump of cheese, try and break it up. That's your stuffing. Just like that. Boom! Ricotta stuffing completed.
Nice.
All right, so I've got my strainer over here and I'm just gonna dump the pasta. It's been 7.5 minutes, so right under, done. And try and do this kind of carefully too, because you don't want them to crack. We're gonna leave those there to cool off while we finish our marinara. So these are translucent. I'm gonna add some garlic in there, let that cook for 45 seconds. We like onions in our marinara, but if you don't like, a little bit of onions, don't add as much. If you like a lot, add the rest of it. We're going in. I find that a whole jar does the trick. And pro tip, something that I forgot to do and that I normally do is just take a little bit of that pasta water before I drain it, put it in this jar, kind of swirl it around to get the rest of the marinara and throw it back in there. It helps thicken up the marinara just a little bit. All right, we're gonna let this simmer for a couple minutes while I get everything situated. Okay, make sure you don't burn your marinara. So if you see it bubbling, turn the temperature down, or once it's bubbling, turn your temperature down just so it's on the lowest setting. Let it cook until you're ready to use it. We're gonna get the filling situated, and you're gonna grab a 9x13 pan, which is what you're gonna be using in the oven. You're gonna grease the bottom of it lightly. And then for the stuffing, if you have a piping bag, get it. Or you can take old trusty here. I don't like to put all of the stuffing in all at once because I feel like it gets just too stuck on the sides and you miss out on some. So I do about half and half. Look at that. A ricotta shell piping bag. Here is where the magic happens. You're gonna take a little bit of this marinara sauce and put it on the bottom of this pan, just a little bit. At this point, you can leave your marinara simmering on a low temp, or you can turn it off. It's up to you. Just make sure you don't burn it. And now we're gonna stuff the shells. And you have to cut into the bag or nothing's gonna happen. For me and my filling, something like that. If you can see it. All right, so you're gonna take a shell, just like so, and you want them to cool down enough so you can kind of, hold it. And you're just gonna kind of push in and stuff. And you might do this way, and then I like to turn it around because it doesn't go all the way through, and just finish it out right there. And you have a stuffed shell. And then we're just gonna throw it in the pan, just like that. And you're gonna do all of them enough to fill up your 9x13. I usually find that I have 1 or 2 left over. And if you hold it like this, gravity can help you a little, but sometimes it helps you too much and it falls out the bottom. And like I said, you can do this with jumbo shells. I find that you have to do less shells and it's less annoying to do the manicotti shells just because they're bigger and you don't have to do so many and it's not so tedious. So I've already got to refill. If you want to just put it all in there, you can, but I really don't mind coming back over and getting a couple more scoops just so I don't waste a lot on the side of the bag. I am so hungry. These are the best.
All right, Gabe, I want to look through the hole as you squirt it.
Let me know when.
That's right, yeah, right in there.
That is a beautiful spread. I only have 2 shells left. I have just a smidge left of this. So what I'm gonna do, check this out. Check this out. I'm gonna move these down. I've got a shell here. I'm gonna cut it in half. And I'm gonna stuff it good, just to finish off. And then boom, it goes right here somewhere. I'm gonna have to really force it in there. Okay, so now that you've got a full pan of stuffed shells, you're then gonna take the remaining bit of your marinara sauce and top it off. And let me tell you, these things reheat phenomenally, which is a reason we're making them tonight, because we don't need all of them. But lunch tomorrow is looking good. All right, so see how I've got it all topped, but I have just a little bit more so I can kind of fill in the holes. Now, lastly, we saved some of that cheese. We're gonna use it. I'm definitely gonna need more. I don't know, 30 cups not enough. So go ahead and spread out some of that cheese here. So yeah, probably like another half cup to a cup. Measure with your heart, whatever. All right, and then I like to take some grated Parmesan cheese and fill in the holes. Alrighty, boom! Oh, I'm so excited. All right, so we're gonna cover it with tinfoil, put it in a 375-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and I'll meet you guys back right here. 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It smells so good. Now don't burn yourself. Steam will come out. Ooh, child. That's what I call a cheesy pasta. I gotta take a picture for the gram. Now some may tell you to wait a couple minutes to cool down, but when you're this hungry, there is no waiting for no man or pasta.
What?
That's a saying, I thought. Now it's gonna be messy. Oh no. The cheese. Oh man. That's when you measure with your heart. That's the kind of cheese you get. My favorite. I'm gonna take another bite because I get to.
Gotta eat for two.
Yeah, 2 bites. 1 for me, 1 for baby. The onions are a great little texture in that marinara sauce. But yeah, feel free to dress this with some parsley. Right now that I'm pregnant, I'm definitely making it once a week. It's just so easy and so scrumptious. And if you're into meatless Mondays, this counts as a meatless dish. Be careful with all the cheese. You could definitely get too excited, inhale it, and then choke on the cheese. So don't choke. Don't let me know if you do though, because I don't want to feel guilty.
Eat it.